Look out now, we're ready to jump because the rhythm is jumping, jump session. The rhythm is jumping, jump session. The rhythm is jumping, jump session.
Hello and welcome to this month's Dance Lab. This month the focus is jumps and we're going to hop right into a warm-up, working from the toes upwards, and once this warm-up is done, please feel free to pause the video and check in with your body and make sure that anything else you feel like needs a little bit of love and attention gets whatever it needs. Jumps are a little bit more strenuous on the body than the normal steps that we use during class, so make sure that while we go through class, things feel good on your joints, your ligaments, and your muscles. Jazz should feel good even when we're jumping. So we're gonna use a lovely Sarah Vaughan song called Jump for Joy to warm up, and we'll get started. I'm gonna warm up with my comfy socks, and you are welcome to join me. Doesn't quite feel warmed up, pause the video and give love and attention to whatever needs it. So we're going to start with a few steps that already have jumps in them, 3 to be exact, starting with a heel click. And a heel click looks like this. Nice and simple and super short, and it has just a few body mechanics things that need to happen in order for it to feel good. And I'm going to talk about 2 things. I'm going to talk about a standing leg and an accent leg. And the standing leg or foot has all the weights, and the accent leg is free to do something else. So for this step, the accent leg is going to start the jump, and it's going to give us the start of the momentum that we're going to finish the step with. And I'm going to bring my leg up, straight, and then bend it mid-air. So you can practice this. It feels a little bit like a skip. You can practice this motion back and forth, and it'll feel like skipping. And practicing moving your leg once it's in the air will really help your heel clicks feel more attainable. So you can practice this skipping, and then once that feels good, you can add in the standing foot. So the standing foot is going to add to the momentum that we just created with the accent foot. And it already wants to leave the ground, so I'm going to add to that momentum and bring my other foot up to meet the other foot. Up and click. And it works on the same on the other side. And practicing both sides is definitely good dance vegetables. So experiment around with this heel click and have have fun with it. Moving on to step number 2, we've got boogie backs. And this step normally looks like this. Kick, ball change, kick, ball change. But we can add a jump and we'll substitute the kickball changes for a jump. And that looks like this. Clap, jump, clap, jump, clap, jump, clap, jump. So those claps are happening on the even beats, and this jump feels really good when the music is quite fast. When the music is really slow, I'll usually stick to kickball changes simply because I feel like I'm in more control over my speed, and there's only so much control you can have over a jump that makes it go in slow motion. It feels a little funny to jump in slow motion. So I'll usually use kickball changes for slow songs and jumps for faster songs. And with the faster music, I like to add a little bit of extra energy by adding some wiggle to my knees. And so that looks like this. Clap, jump, clap, jump, clap, jump, clap, jump. Now the most important thing about adding some wiggle to your own knees is keeping your knees really bent. I'll show you from the side so you can see how bent my legs really are. And I'll maybe hold up my spear, so I'm not gonna clap, but I'll show you what it looks like. Yeah, I have jump, land, 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 land. And you can see my legs are quite bent. I'm keeping that angle pretty small so that I have a lot of mobility with the rest of my legs. And my knees are not moving at all in their joints. It's all happening with my feet and my hips. And so with my feet, with my bent knees, I'm simply doing a little bit of rotating and a little bit of swiveling between my big toes and my pinky toes. So between those two things, my knees can really travel a lot in space, and it creates that rather dramatic and energetic look in your jump. So I'll do those once forwards, side, and back so that you can see what those look like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So those are boogie backs with a jump. For our final step that has an existing jump, we're going to move on to jump Charleston. It even has jump in the name, and this is one of my very favorite Charleston steps. And the jump is quite small, but the whole step has quite a lot of energy in it. So we're going to start with a kick, and the kick is going to be on 1 because this is Charleston land, and oftentimes things start on 1 and generally accent those odd beats. So we're going to start with a kick. I'm going to kick with my right leg, although if this step is really comfortable to you, I would really challenge you to try it on the left. Feels a little funky at first, but it feels like also some good dance vegetables. So I'm going to kick on 1 with my right leg, excuse me. And then I'm going to slide with my left. So I'll count that out so that you can hear the rhythm. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have something on 1 and something on 3. And it has just 3 bits. So we have 2 bits already under control. Kick, slide. And then we're going to have a jump and then some steps to return to however you would like to be at the end of the step. And I'm going to leave those ambiguous. I will give some particular patterns that are common, but since this is a step that's made to either travel or stay in place, those steps might be different depending on if you're trying to travel or if you're trying to stay in place, or if you're perhaps going from left to right. So those steps can change, just so you know. So we're going to add a jump after that kick and slide. We have kick, slide, jump. And I'm jumping onto my left leg. And it's not a big jump. You'll notice I'm not really getting much air, but I'm going to put a lot of energy and a lot of heart into this jump. Very small jump, and I'm going to really throw the rest of my limbs. My accent foot as well as my arms are going to do something with a lot of energy to really, even though it doesn't have a lot of air, give some height and excitement to this jump. So altogether it looks like this. We have kick, slide, jump, and then something else. Kick, slide, jump, and on the left, kick, slide, jump, whatever you need, kick, slide, jump, and step. So with fast music, I find that I run for those steps after the jump, and that's what I've been doing here. Kick, slide, jump, run, run. If I want to stay on the same foot, that is. If the music is a little slower, then I might split that in half and do a ball change, ball change. probably going to be the most common thing that people do, is kick, slide, jump, ball change, ball change. And with counts, that looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7, 8. 1, 3, 5, and 7, 8. Free to start the kick on 1 all the time. And if you'd like to change feet, all you have to do is do an odd number of steps. Either 1 step or 3 steps is usually my go-to. More is harder, depending on how fast the music is, and fewer is not quite possible. Right, yeah, we do have to step out of that turn. Now I'm thinking kick, slide, jump. Gotta at least step once, it's true. So that is our jump Charleston. I'm just gonna do a couple facing you, facing the side, and facing away so that you can see. And then we'll move on to uncharted territory. So here is jump Charleston, facing you and facing our other walls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. So there you have it, jump Charleston. You can add a jump at the very beginning as well. If that kick has a lot of energy, it might take your left or your right, your standing foot off the ground with you. But have fun experimenting with how much air and how much energy this step has. Experiment with slow music, experiment with fast music, and have a good time with this step. Now onto uncharted territory. Jumps are a current favorite way of mine to add some energy to a step, especially when I'm dancing to really fast music. So I have a few suggestions, but I would really encourage you to just dance to a few songs with the goal of jumping and see what happens. You will likely find some very interesting places that your body wants to put some jumps, and they will likely be different than mine because we have different personalities and different ways of making jazz. So here's a couple of my suggestions and my favorite ways to put some jumps into my dancing. So I'm going to start simple, starting with a turn. I really like adding jumps to a turn, and I think that I generally have 3 places to put a turn, either at the beginning of the turn, right before it happens, during the turn as part of the turn, or at the end, I'll jump out of a turn. So I'm going to start with a lock step. I think that's a really nice step to explore, and I have 3 places to put that turn. The prep, and for a lock turn, it's going to be the lock part of the turn. And a lock turn normally doesn't have a jump. We cross and untwist. Super simple. But I could easily jump into that prep. Jump into the lock, and then finish the step. I could also lock, turn, and jump for the turn. And then our third option is jumping out of the turn. So after I've started the turn, I can jump out of it. So generally with turns, you have those 3-ish options with lots of wiggle room in between. But I particularly like the jumping out of a turn as sort of an emergency eject button. If my turn is going a little sour and I'm turning and I'm off balance, I'm trying to balance and it's not working, I can jump out of the turn at the end, do something fun, strike a nice pose, and it makes me feel like I'm in control again. And also, if I'm performing in front of an audience, makes it look like nothing ever happened. It's a nice way to hide the unbalanced moment. So I have another step suggestion, and that's tacky Annies. I've been having a really nice time adding tacky Annies and generally experimenting with stomp offs during tacky Annies as a spot to make something different happen. So with tacky Annies, which normally look like this, stomp off, touch, step, touch, step, touch, step, step, ball change. Instead of that ball change, I like to do a jump sometimes, and it adds some really interesting visual elements as well to this step that's normally kept quite low. So with the jump, it looks like this. I'll usually start a normal tacky Annie, stomp off, touch, 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 and I jump, touch, 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 and a jump, touch, 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 and a jump, touch, touch, more time with this jump, you might be able to shorten that jump, but for me, this is the rhythm that I particularly like. And that also means that it's quite easy to switch from left to right with this version of Tacky Annie's. If I wanted to start the touches with my left foot, normally they start with the right foot. Ball change, touch. It can also be a jump, touch, or jump, touch. With the stomp-offs, you would need to start the stomp-offs on the left to start the touches on the left. So with this jumping Tacky Annie, it's kind of a nice way to very easily have the option to move from left to right. So those are some fun ways of playing with your Tacky Annie, and experiment with this stomp off. What else could you do during this stomp off? Experimenting with this particular bit of this step can be very fun. I've had a really good time with it. So I have just one more suggestion, one more experiment for you this class, and that is to put heel clicks everywhere. Everywhere that you can think of. Find where they do fit, find where they don't fit, and have a good time. I have one particular place that I find myself putting heel clicks in a lot, so I'll go ahead and teach the step along with the variation with the heel click, and then we're gonna just dance and groove and find some places to put heel clicks and all the other jumps that you can think of into our dancing. So the step is run on the log or crossover Charleston. It looks like this. And I'll go ahead and break it down in case this is a new step for you, and I'll break it down facing away from the camera. And I start with walking. This is the basic rhythm. Step, 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 step. So we got that basic rhythm. Now you can pick up the back heel. And I'm trying to show the sole of my foot to that red curtain. And I would just add in a kick. Kick. Show my heel. Kick. Show my heel. Kick. Show my heel. Kick. And I'm keeping my upper body facing the way wherever front is for you. And I'm creating some twists in my body during that show your heel moment. So that's run on the log for you. I'll go ahead and show it facing you, facing the side, and facing away with some counting so you can hear what this sounds like. And then we'll put a heel cooking. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the heel click goes in between, for me. You can certainly change it all you want, but for me, I like putting the heel click in after this moment. Click, cross, kick, click, cross, click. Oh, that's a good tongue twister. I cross, kick, land, heel click, cross, kick, heel click. Quite hard to do slow, but with some speed it looks like this. Cross, kick, heel click, cross, click, heel click, cross, kick, heel click, heel click, cross, heel click, cross, woohoo, hey, 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 ho. So it really goes in between the kick and the click, and it can go in any order, and it can interrupt the step, and you can really go nuts with it. And it adds quite a lot of energy, and I find that I really like to use this as a break in some kind of fashion, a break step for a phrase in which I've used this particular step. So I'm going to put on a song from Jen Hodges' new album, which is out this month. Super exciting. It is called Girl in the Groove, and I'm going to dance to you a little bit of a speedier song since we are jumping, and it feels good to do that to energetic music. She has one of my favorite songs on this album. It's called Earthquake Drill. So we're going to dance to that song and see what jumping magic happens. Dance Lab. I hope you have a grand time experimenting with all of these jumps, leaps, and hops, putting them into new places in your own jazz and exploring new uncharted territory in the world of jumping. So until next month, take care, check out Jen's new album. The links to all her music can be found below, and I'll see you next month.